Good afternoon, everyone. How does faith, family, and finances all come together? And today, we will be hearing from a couple, both in business and in real life, Marcus and Mei Ling, who are the co founders of Positive Links Asia.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Marcus. Hi, Mei Ling. We're so glad to have you today on this coffee chat. So, yeah, we hope that we have a great time just talking, really. So, as mentioned, I know you guys are the founders of Positive Link Asia. And I'm actually going to ask you five quick fire questions so that our audience can get to know you a little bit better. And, for our audience, they actually have no idea what the questions we're going to ask. So, yeah, let's hear from them. Either one of you can go first. Yeah. So, just enjoy yourselves. All right. So,
Okay.
Marcus and Mei Ling, what are you passionate about at your work?
All right. To be very honest, let me tell you a story, right? I'll tell you a dirty little secret.
Okay, sounds juicy.
It isn't about the recruitment process. Very simply, Positive Links Asia is a recruitment company. So we help our clients to find specific candidates that are generally hard to find, right? So that's what we do. And how we earn our revenue is the fees from the placement of such candidates with our clients. So that's in short. But what drives in terms of the passion, at least for me, would be number one is actually having great conversations with great clients and candidates. I think that's where the learning comes in. That your worldview changes as you learn from some of them are really, really good guys, right? And that's where I learn. And
I think we got the right people to be on the show then today, since you love conversations. Yeah.
So it's like I learned from these guys, these could be likes from the MNCs and even local conglomerates, even startups. How do I apply whatever they learn in my life as well as in my business? And you'd be surprised at some of the conversations we have. It's just mind blowing. The second
Can you
thing
give us
is
one, the most mind blowing one?
Well, it's the most simplest of all, right? I remember vividly. I was with my colleague at one point in time, and we were talking to this guy who was used in Shell. We were looking for him for a particular role that we have, and he was something
Sorry,
along.
you say his name is Michelle, or he works at Shell?
No, he was in Shell.
Oh, in Shell. Okay, all right.
And he talked about investments. So in talking about personal finances, right? He was talking exactly that years ago, right? And that was the thing, like, wow, okay, it's important to invest, so on and so forth, right? So sometimes what we do isn't about just placing you with a client or presenting that opportunity, but more of it's about learning about other things as well, right? How they live their lives, what makes them so successful. So that interests me. Secondly, is I like building, so I see this business as something that I want to build and grow.
Like what, Lego blocks building, that kind of building?
Well, it's how do you build your business, right? So it's like Lego blocks, yes, putting the right pieces together to make sure that 1 + 1 = 3. So that's where we're at now.
That sounds magical, man. All right.
There's a nice aspect to the business where everything that we do is different. Every role, every candidate, every client that we speak to. But there's also a very personal aspect. For me, on the private side, I have experiences where I am able to pray individually with people, and these are always ladies, right? And there has been candidates or even clients who have opened up because maybe sometimes it's going through situations in their lives, right? There's been people that we have had the privilege to lead to Christ, and this is unique because when you interact at a certain level, it's not just about what's the job or what's the career opportunity, but personally, what is driving you? What is your vision for the future? What does money? What does family? What does career? And in the long term, what does eternity mean to you?
Wow, we've got eternity viewpoint. Definitely sounds engaging, actually, that they will open up to you. So we've heard a little bit about your work and your industry. How about outside of work? Are you boring people, or what are you passionate about?
Totally boring. Very, very boring. Boring.
Well, that's a bad answer, really, to me. But yeah, we'll let Marcus go first, and maybe come back to Mei Ling on something that you're passionate about outside work.
I think I'm passionate about quite a number of things. So outside work, which
So you
is
took all the passion away from Mei Ling, is it?
yeah. See, I still feel guilty already. But I'm passionate about diving. I like
Wow.
scuba diving. I like underwater photography.
Oh, okay.
The third one I'm intentional about this year as well is I want to learn something new. So last year I went to Japan. I learned something new there. This year I want to learn something new. So I'm doing an online course together with other people. I want to be better at golf. Right? So I guess for me, I have these little projects to get me going, and I need that kind of variety.
Okay. Interesting as well. Before we move to Mei Ling, super quick one. What was that small thing that you learned last year from Japan?
What? Well, it's not about, it's understanding. Firstly, I think is the culture of Japan, right? Because I never been, and all I hear is from what people say, and so much so that when I was in this large building, and it's actually one of the global Japanese agencies, and you understand a little bit about how their work culture is, right? It's about not self, it's about the best for the company, even to this day and age. And one of them said that, this culture that we have with what we want best for our company and country could be the death of us, because they do not, from my understanding, they have this little hierarchy in Japan, right? They tend to listen to their superiors, and because of that, it could be their downfall in terms of not being able to pivot fast enough or to adjust to the market conditions. So that was one of my great learnings. Second one is actually this, right? That whatever they did, they seem to have passion. When you walk into the Japanese restaurants, and when they greet you, right? I
Can
truly
feel it, right?
what it means to doing that as opposed to what we get here in Malaysia, right? It's like, wow, this is passion. By just serving that, this is amazing. This is amazing stuff.
Yeah, I would agree to that. I was in Japan as well, pre C19 as well, and I can still remember the chef space actually to that point as well. Yeah. How about you, Mei Ling? What's something you're passionate about outside work?
Outside of work, right? It's running the household. I have a pet that takes up a lot of energy, a kid, right? Family related.
That's passion, right? Not work or chores that you're forced to do, right? Just confirming.
I think it's more of things that take up the time, but
okay.
I think Marcus and I are very similar in the sense that we enjoy learning new things. For him, it's very experiential. See, touch, feel, be there. Be in the situation, the atmosphere. For me, I would rather take a step back and watch it. Last year was K-dramas.
Wow, okay.
But like other things, right? I mean, books, engaging with people. I tend to absorb experience from situations rather than needing to be in there itself. Yeah. So it's engaging with people.
Is it also through Marcus as well? Seeing Marcus do things, or maybe bang his head against the wall, and you learn from his experience?
Well, I don't really enjoy diving, but yes, I'm okay hearing about what's the creepy crawlies underwater, right?
All right, cool. All right, next quick fire question. What's one fun fact that most people don't know about you?
Ayo. What's one fun fact?
Yeah. What's one thing that most people don't know about you? Sorry, repeat that.
He sings off key.
Okay.
I can't start songs, but I can play the guitar. I can tune the guitar, but I can't sing.
All right. So Mei Ling has shared about Marcus. Marcus, there's something that most people don't know about Mei Ling?
Don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, if you look at her sometimes, some people say, wow, she looks very stern. But actually deep down, she's a bit of a tofu. So much so that
on the outside.
It looks hard, but afterward,
announce to the world.
The staff also can, bully her and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's the hair actually. I knew Mei Ling previously when she had longer hair. All right. Okay. Next quick fire question. What's your favorite quote?
Oh, for mine is this: good captains are not made in calm seas. That's true. So that means essentially that whatever situations, circumstances we go through, you only become better. And especially so when we run businesses, there are a lot of things that's happening at the same time, especially a small SME, right? SME. So that, I believe, gives us perspective that you only become better people once we go through the fire.
Wow, awesome. Maybe
Mine?
your favorite quote?
It's a Cantonese term. It goes like this, if you understand Cantonese. It's ma sei lok dei hang. So really, it's never giving up. It's a situation where you're a soldier, right? And if the horse dies, you don't die with the horse. You get down from the dying horse and you walk. You continue to march. So therein lies your marching orders. You never give up, whatever the situation, the challenges are.
Wow, that's amazing. That almost makes me want to, brush up my non-existent Cantonese, really. All right, now we're actually going to do a MyPF tradition. So let me play this and then I'll let you know what it is actually. All right, no worries. There's a technical error in the clip, but let me jump right into it. All right, so this is actually a random question game. So we basically have about 20,000 questions, and it's a random question, and you both get to pick. You can pick the same answer, a different answer. So, yeah, who would you rather be accidentally mistaken for? Either Hugh Jackman or Leonardo DiCaprio? Well, I guess for Mei Ling, a female version of it, I guess.
As in who? We just answered, is it? Who?
Yeah, you just answered, yeah.
I'll pick Hugh Jackman.
And why?
Oh, he plays more of a heroic roles. He sings, he's talented. I think the roles that I've seen of Leonardo DiCaprio is a bit more sleazy. He's played all these, dubious characters. Yeah.
I'll pick Leonardo. Why?
Okay.
How? In terms of his who his characters are, they're all quite versatile and all quite
Please
different.
note that Hugh Jackman is handsomer.
Do you agree or disagree with that, Marcus?
None. Can't tell.
All right. Thanks. We're done with the quick fire questions. We have some folks coming in. Warm welcome again. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday afternoon. If you can help us to hit the like button, leave a comment, question for us. We'll pick some of this up as well for Marcus and Mei Ling along the way, as well as co-founders of PositiveLinks Asia, as we're going to be talking about faith, family, and finances on today's episode as well. Yeah, go ahead to like and hit the share button. Give us a comment or question, and we'll be happy to bring those up as well. All right, so let's jump right straight into it actually. So PositiveLinks Asia, as you mentioned, is an executive recruitment firm. I hope I got that right. Yeah. So I noticed that empowerment is one of the key things that you really seem to really focus on, and I think empowerment is such an important part of any company's DNA. And how did your organization survive or even thrive actually during these difficult times that we're actually going through?
I think empowerment is something that we actively put in together for the entire team, simply because the realization is that we cannot do everything by ourselves. Even as we want to be able to sustain, to grow, we need to empower. And the foundation of empowerment is actually trust. I will need to, whatever level that you come in, or you participate with us, even supporting at a level where you are very junior, right? You still have to be empowered, because the trust enables someone to grow, and therefore they are empowered. So it's a holistic thing. Now, if the trust is lost, right, or betrayed, then we will have to bring that back a little bit, and therefore the empowerment comes down. So it's a give and take situation.
So it's like a fluctuating thing, is it? That empowerment level they are saying? Okay, interesting.
I think to build on that, right? Look, at the end of the day, one of our values in our company is this learning. Everyone of us needs to have that learning posture. And empowerment teaches us to be more responsible, to take that risk, to be more autonomous in doing things right, to handle more complexity in what we do. And to do that, of course, the byproduct or the output, the outcome is the reward. That means if you do it well, you get a good outcome, then that's where the business rewards you as well. So empowerment is part and parcel about the trust, but also part and parcel about the journey that we want our colleagues to grow into.
Right, but how do you apply it? In an executive recruitment firm like yours, isn't your firm more? Correct me if I'm not, more transactional in basis. How then do you apply empowerment?
Well,
across your organization?
it's not exactly transactional, because there's an element of gut feel, or
Okay.
that means that, for example, sometimes when we find candidates, they may not 100% fit into the requirement of the clients, and because they don't,
Does that happen often?
all the time, because you can never find 100% fit.
We deal with people, not products. So people come in all sorts of colors.
Yeah.
Shapes and sizes as well, I'm sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So different dimensions, right? So that means you make the call of sharing this candidate profile with the client or not, because there's some clients a lot more stickier than the rest. So that's where that's one example of it. Two is, of course, how they manage the time, because right now we all work remotely. Actually, most of our colleagues all work from home, so that's also the element of trust as well. And of course, we need to be wise with this application, right? That means we also will need to put the boundaries and the guidelines in terms of managing behavior as well. Yeah.
But truth be told, we are learning ourselves how to better empower, how to coach, how to guide. When do we step in? When do we trust?
Do you have a story for us of empowerment?
Wow. I think it comes back down to, okay, if I empower my colleague or my staff to deal with the client is not happy, right? And the client calls up and for whatever reason ends up shelling my staff, right? So what do I do? First thing that my staff will come to me, starts crying and say, I can't do this, right? For whatever reason, I've let you down, or I did a poor job. So the empowerment is okay. I can step in and make everything well again, or I can give her a little bit of guidance to say, okay, this is how you make back good with the client. But of course, she does not know that at the back of it, I have also made a call to the client to explain. So while it is, I empower you. So with her, right, she thinks that, okay, I'm stepping into this, I'm going to do it all by myself, but we never really just go and say, you're in the deep, go swim with the sharks and figure out which shark is coming after you. It's also giving the guidelines and say, okay, you do this, don't worry, it will work. And what we can do from behind is, we'll just come support and do whatever that's necessary to speak to the client. And so.
Right. I'm guessing you're demonstrating that empowerment yourself as well, to just go above and beyond. Okay. Totally awesome. And just curious as well, your company name, PositiveLinks Asia. What's the story behind that, the name?
Story. Okay, because I knew what I didn't want. I didn't want people, talent, HR into any of this. But I think it goes back down to the purpose of what we do, right? Keeping the main thing. Our purpose is very simple. It's to help people grow and excel in their personal lives, careers, and their aspirations. Very simple as that. And we want to be that positive link to all these three areas in their whatever it is, right? Again, personal lives, careers, and aspirations. Mei Ling already has demonstrated how sometimes we can help people in their personal lives. I think both Mei Ling and I have spoken to individuals privately about what the things they are going through. Sometimes some of them they lose their job, and sometimes they are in the depths of despair. Some people are sometimes going through depression and stuff like that. So we can do as much as we can, but that's holding true to our purpose. Of course, careers is connecting people to the right opportunities, and aspirations, I think it's more within the company, as in we want to work with people or our colleagues to help them achieve their goals or their dreams. Very simple. That's whether it's within PositiveLinks itself or actually outside of that. And we have
outside as well. Okay.
Outside means to say that, look, we cannot help you to achieve your goal anymore. Find something that's outside there that can actually help you.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Like knowing when to let go, basically.
Which is not easy.
Okay. Yeah, Mei Ling was totally on board on the name PositiveLinks Asia as well, or did you have any
When we
other?
first started, okay, when Marcus first started, I wasn't in the picture, right? But
Okay.
thinking through the essence of the business is actually there's connections there. So another word for connections is links, right? How do we
Yeah.
link people to jobs, people to maybe a bit of destiny? Sometimes we cannot link them to the job, but we're happy to point them in the right direction. And the turning point is if we really help someone, kickstart a fantastic career. So there's always these links in the head, in our minds, right? And finally, it was one of his colleagues that came up with the word positive. So we just combine it together. Why not do something positively?
All right, totally awesome as well. All right. With that, I'm actually gonna remove her so we can kind of see the background a little bit, because we're gonna show a little bit of that. All right, so for all those watching, you saw the background, you see the very nice family photo. So when I reach out to you guys, I ask for a photo of you guys, and you can see from your choice of photo that family is very important for you. So how do you focus or even juggle maybe for some people between family, faith, finances as a foundation of building a better life.
Okay. Well, it's never compartmentalized because when life hits you, right, it just comes all at one go. When we talk about faith and work or faith and finances, right, you don't have money, faith will arise. So,
Could go either way, I would argue, though.
right? Well, yes, true. But because you grow up with faith, right? Then you always think, oh my gosh, finances are running low. God, please provide, right? So, that being the case, it's always thinking and remembering that we need to put God's principles first. So, faith and finances go together, right? Faith will rise up when your business or when cash flow or challenges come your way, even family situations, right? To put it something as a focus, right? It's really to relive the testimonies, whether it's our own, and even more powerful is if it's ours or with others, the people of God, right? That God's provisions are there. He will ultimately remind us that He is truly in control.
That's true. Marcus, any thoughts?
So could you just repeat your question again so I make sure I get
Sure. How do you focus on family, faith, and finances actually in your life? Juggling so many things. Being an entrepreneur. Being a family man. Going diving and all that as well.
diving? Well, it's not. To be honest, it's not easy. I think it's ultimately going back to the single core purpose, right? And if I understand myself better or correctly, I have so much talent that God has given me. So this is what I'm supposed to do in work.
You're referring to talent as in God-given talent and not money talent, right?
Talent, yeah.
Okay.
God has talent, so big talent, and so God given us the business.
Right.
God given this family. How do you balance it? It's hard, right? So to me, it's number one. Is let's say family, right? So family in my mind there's a hierarchy and also a schedule in my mind, right? So there's this time where I spend time with the family, then of course spend time with the business, and of course finances will be an underlying thing. Now,
if you don't mind, I just to
Yeah.
jump in a little bit because that's the question that personally interests me as well. Focus especially has been a key theme for me this year, and timing as well. I'm looking about a third of time for work, a third of time for family and faith, and a third of time for other things as well. But how's that schedule looking like for you? How do you speed it up?
I tell you, it's tough because it gets messy. But because we are doing some things within the business that we are tightening certain things, and that takes up a lot. It takes up our energy actually.
Yes.
Let's forget about time, but energy.
Yes.
Two is, of course, there's the demands of work because right now we have quite a number of jobs to fill as well. So that's
the season of the
Yeah.
pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So everything is challenged.
So that schedule, I think we need to keep it flexible, but not removing. I think ultimately it's not replacing one with the other. I think
Okay.
that's how I see that. It's not a straightforward answer.
Mm.
It's something that we are trying to manage as well.
You know, in interacting with so many people throughout the years, right? I come to realize
How many years have you all been doing this?
10
11 years, right?
yeah, 11 years
Yeah.
now.
11 years. Okay.
We come to realize that not everyone is taught from young how to manage finances, for example. Right?
It's lacking in our schools. That's one of my biggest gripes actually. Yeah.
Yes, children don't know, right? Some families will teach their children don't spend, save. Some families will teach their children maybe investment, but the holistic form of it does not come, right? So
How about in the Cole household? What do you all teach?
but you've brought up a very good reminder that if you talk about all these three F's, right? Family, faith, finances. We have to first remember that it's about the faith part first. So if we want to settle or teach our kids the right way, then what's the foundation of it? It's about God first, right? So that's why put God first, His principles first, and then you think about finance. Remembering that it's not mine, it's not ours, it's not for us to just make and use, like something that is discardable. It is the fact that we are stewarding it, and
Right.
and that's reminders across the Bible as well, because it's for the generations to come, right? And how we use our money actually matters to God. Because at the end of the day, all of wealth comes from God. So it does not mean that I earn it, I can blow it. It comes back down to, if we think about how we use our money matters to God, then we need to put His principles first. And the first and foremost reminder is He is Lord over everything. Every single cent, you are not to waste. Therefore, it comes back down to, give. So tithe, the giving, right, is to enable us to acknowledge that it is not ours, right? The sowing is God's command to invest in His way, not our way. But the principles of investing for God, right, is to expect a harvest, and this harvest is not what we think it's, in physical terms, new house, new car, that sort, right? And then tithe is also another command. It is a command that we act in faith and obedience, right? So that's the first part, how we use it. The second one is wealth accumulation or saving. I think that's important to God as well, because God moves generationally. He will bless our children's children. That is a promise. And to do that, right, that means our saving is faith motivated, because we're saving for the children's children. It is not fear motivated, because if it's fear motivated, I just save for myself, right? I make sure that I have enough, and that's it. I don't care.
And just hoard and all that. But that's difficult, right? Because of our limited lifespans and viewpoints that we can't see past.
I want to hoard, right? Because I really have limited, right? So it's the mindset of not hoarding and saying I have to think beyond and let it be that the accumulation is for generational. But in order for us to give, so tithe and save, that's where you come in, Steve, because we don't have a full picture. We have an idea, but that's where we also acknowledge that we need help.
All right, the disclaimer for those wondering, I'm a financial planner, so I do work with Marcus and Mei Ling as well, as a disclosure for that. Yeah. But delving a little bit into your experience as well, as you talk about industry, and I know a lot of people are affected. My own clients, I have clients on both extremes. There are those who have lost their jobs, lost incomes, 70% plus pay cuts. There are the other extreme, which suddenly have a lot of money because they are no longer traveling around the world, spending elsewhere. So they have a lot of money to actually put aside. So based on you guys' experience of more than 11 years, how are you seeing it for the industry as a whole? Are people hiring more? Are they're more desperate? People looking for jobs? Or what's the outlook like?
Well, I think there are two sets of people, right? or actually three sets of people. One, that they will always be in demand. So right now, I think where the whole market or even industries move is those who are more technical or digital savvy. That means they are the software engineers, DevOps, AI, stuff like that. So we have clients right now who are looking to hire 20, 30 of these folks. So that's massive.
Is that more than usual?
It's getting more. It's getting more. So that's one. Two, there's this set of people where they need to be more hybrid. Hybrid meaning to say that I'll share an example of a friend. My friend is one in the telco sector,
Okay.
and he's somewhere in the mid-level, right? Mid-level. So he has his team. He has his superiors, and he says, "Look, Marcus, is getting harder. You know why? Because they're removing all the support I have. I myself, they're giving me the tools instead for me to go in, self-serve, at the same time do the analytics. That means they are getting stretched, but at the same time also they need to be well versed with technology. So these are those who are they need to be upskilled along the way. And of course, there's a third group where they will be made redundant.
Yes.
So this is where the market is, right? And we know that those who are getting redundant are generally perhaps those who are more on the operational transactional type of roles. So this is where the market's heading.
Right. I totally agree that as well. It kind of only really hit me, we were doing a podcast a couple of weeks back with the CEO of Forward School in Penang, Howie, an old friend, and he was actually sharing that even in the tech skills and industry itself, certain things are actually becoming obsolete actually. So entry level tech, all that is actually a decline actually. So
That's
it's
right.
interesting how that's changing too.
I mean, 5 years ago, there was this particular programming language, but now these days, you don't even hear of it anymore. It's not in demand.
Yeah. That's why I actually my bachelor's major was actually in programming, but I decided not to work as a programmer. So
Yeah.
You are like not relevant anymore.
So that's the thing, right? We need to continuously upskill, find some place to learn something new and to practice. If not, then we'll be in the third group where we just be left behind. And I guess from our viewpoint, we have seen those who in their 40s and 50s, they lose their job. And it's heartbreaking because sometimes you just can't help them.
Is it more difficult because their pay is already higher, the experience, and so there's no real jobs that they can kind of fit into?
It's a combination of factors. It could be number one, salary. Two is age. We have clients coming to us and say, "Hey, Marcus, no, we don't want anyone above 45 years old." It's like,
Oh, 45. Okay.
yeah. So because the way the world works, to meet people fresher, people with different set of thinkings, those who are perhaps in their 40s and 50s, and mind you, we are in our 40s already. They may need longer time to adapt. They come with their whole experience, which may not be useful for clients. So there's a combination.
I hope Mei Ling was okay with you sharing that you're in your 40s actually.
This is where faith comes in.
Yeah.
Actually, in the whole, if you look at the economy, right, the whole thing about jobs, there's always going to be jobs being created where there's going to be a lot of demand for certain type of talents, and there's always going to be a whole area where a lot of talents are going to be made redundant, right? So, do we
tech,
know?
Right? Especially tech, I guess, as one of the main catalysts. How that shift is actually occurring.
Yes. So here's another story, right?
We love stories, so yeah.
So I know someone in Singapore. His job was like a financial controller, and he oversees APAC. And part of a financial controller is part of his KPI was actually to reduce cost. So he was reducing across Asia Pac, and so much so that even he lost his job.
That's too efficient in other words.
So he's very simply, he says, look, in India, I don't need these transactional guys really. I'm using software to do the systems to make it faster. Right? He has outsourced audit from Malaysia to the Philippines. I said, you can do that? I said, yeah, because now it's the press of the button. And guess what? Because you press the button only, I'll cut your fees. So these are changing so much that it's scary. Because if global organizations, all they do is push for revenue and push down cost. Something has to give. So you tend to use more technology now to make things more efficient.
Yeah, that definitely changes as well. I was on a clubhouse session just the other day, and they were actually, and these were people actually in the States and in Europe and in first world countries. But there they were, highly recommending, hey, you can outsource all this, to the Philippines, for example. They do a fantastic job, at a fraction of the price as well. I also noticed that Positive Links Asia also has some links to Philippines, was it?
Yeah, we do. We have a good Filipino network. No, yeah, but yes, we do have, but then again, because it was someone that we worked with in Malaysia, she returned home. We have a very good relationship with her. There's a sense of trust there as well. So yeah. So, but it's not about cost cutting. It's just now we ourselves have to be flexible in the way we approach our business model as well.
And carry over. You never know what tomorrow brings, whether your job is still relevant or not. Therefore, saving for the future, thinking ahead, planning somewhat.
Yeah, definitely having that, different or even eternal horizon viewpoint. Actually, one of the questions that sometimes I get asked is, how long do you intend to hold your investment holdings? And for me, my answer is actually technically eternity. Actually, if I could, that kind of has a different time frame as well. Yeah. Delving a little bit into family as well, and also being in this field, seeing careers and all that, what does your daughter actually aspire to be when she grows up? Entrepreneurs, business owners like her parents? Or
YouTuber.
YouTuber? Okay.
She's only 13. I think she hasn't discovered herself yet.
Yeah.
So we don't know. We do not give her the pressure to take over the business. I don't think that's a fair thing. Hence, we also need to plan for our business as well, right? In terms of what do we do with it once we get to an age where we can't run it anymore? So yeah.
Yeah, business legacy planning. Yeah, that's one thing, in a future session, we need to be talking about with you guys as well. And so just as a quick reset for all those just tuning in, here we are with Marcus and Mei Ling. They're the co-founders of Positive Links Asia, an executive recruitment firm actually. So again, feel free to hit the like button, share button if you have questions for them, whether it's on faith, family, finances, or even the recruitment industry. Yeah, feel free to drop their questions in the comments, and I'm sure they'll be happy to answer those as well. All right, we're heading into our third and final segment. So we're talking a little bit about legacy earlier as well. So if there's a legacy that you could leave behind, to your family, for Malaysians, citizens of the world, what sort of legacy would you want to leave behind?
Okay lah. All right. It's.
I think you mentioned your slides for that, right?
Just can you see the slides?
Let me put that up for you.
No, don't need to. Actually, don't need to.
No.
Okay. So talk about legacy, right? It isn't. To be honest, it isn't huge scale or anything like that. It's about. Okay, for I think there's two kind of impacts we're gonna have, like in terms of legacy. One is on a very micro level. Micro level will be our relationship with our colleagues, our clients, and our candidates, and what kind of positive impact we can do on that level. So that's, I think, it's a good enough legacy. It isn't about the biggest buildings or the nicest roads. It's about that relationship where that one instance or one opportunity we have with them can really impart something great. And hopefully that is a good legacy that will multiply over time, right? That's one. Two, on a slightly more macro level, it's for Positive Links, a part of our top line we would like to put into community development. That means working with partners where we can help them from a financial standpoint, where we see that impacts lives, and that is actually legacy. Because what we do, we can't do so much, but there's some people who can do a lot more. So why not I support them in their journey, right? So that's how I see legacy for Positive Links, or even for both Mei Ling and I as well.
Okay. Really about the people and all about the community.
Yeah. I mean, there's one where we are working with now. They work with refugees, in some cases also undocumented teenagers.
Right.
Now do not have much of a
Future
because
No
they don't have
IC.
IC, right? I can't open my bank account, so on.
Mm-hmm.
So working with them and helping them to find their own path, to build their own legacy, I think that's something that totally outlasts us.
Mm. Okay, okay. Definitely, yeah. This theme seems recurring as well. Just talking this morning actually with a licensed counselor who was actually working for Doctors Without Borders. Yeah, and the refugee scene, over in Malaysia,
Yeah, true.
as well.
It's
Yeah.
it's a huge problem, right? If you look at Sabah,
Mm.
you have hundreds and thousands of children and people without documents, and these are generally the third generation in Malaysia already. But
Mm.
yet they cannot go to school, they cannot open a bank account, they cannot get a decent job. That's
Mm.
a problem in itself, right? And what can we
Mm.
do to make sure that we stop this cycle?
Right, right. Yeah, definitely a socio-economic impact from all
Yeah,
this.
it's a very layered issue, but we only can do so much, lah, right? Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Mainly, your thoughts actually on legacy, either on a micro scale.
I think echoing that, because it's something that the very work that we do deals with people's lives, right?
Mm.
So it has to be with a conscience. And yeah, we've always said, every time when we talk to anyone who joins us, the job is there. We put the candidate and the client together. The byproduct of that is the money, right? Yes, the money is important because it's the way to fuel our survival. But however, at the end of the day, this money, back to what I remember, or keep reminding myself, it is not ours to keep. In the long term, begin with the end in mind, right? The end in mind, if, like you said, if the timeline is eternity, then however very long it is, I still cannot take not even the smallest bill with me, right? What do we leave behind? Yeah, hopefully we leave behind a legacy that, okay, the people that we touch, the closest ones with us, right? There is something that has impacted them for eternity. And then
Mm.
on a wider scale, what else can we do with the wealth entrusted to us?
Mm. I really like that line, impact for eternity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Marcus, you were saying something?
No, we're trying to build that wealth.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, yeah. Definitely, actually. Yeah, yeah. Just now you were saying about, yeah, we really can't take things beyond the grave as well. Which reminds me of it's kind of humorous joke if you put it that there was this man that was really miserly, with his money and all that, and he actually gave instructions to his wife that when he passes away, he wants to be buried with all his money. The wife agreed totally to that. So the man then kicked the bucket one day, and then the wife, went to when then they had the funeral and the casket was there, and you're wondering, why is that lady doing? She was putting a piece of paper into the casket. So the person ordained handling the ceremony asked, oh, what are you doing, madam? He said, oh, I'm putting in the check actually that my husband asked me to put in.
It's a cash
Right, right. Yeah. And talking about having the end in mind as well, a little bit, I hope you don't take it as a morbid question. I'm pretty sure you won't actually.
Yep.
But how would you picture your sin to be like at your own funeral? How would you picture it to be like at your own funeral?
Oh.
Yeah. Take a
Wow.
few moments if you need to. Close your eyes if it helps you to visualize it whenever you're ready.
Yeah, it's a typical thing, right? It's he had a good race. So number one, right? I hope to envision, right, that I ended well. Right?
Mm. What does that mean?
Ended well. I'm going to remember this part where Noah, right? How Noah's story ended in the Bible was he lost his pants or he got drunk or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the
Got
story.
drunk.
Yeah. And say, hey, it shouldn't be like that. So I would love to have if I envision it, someone to say, okay, like Marcus led a good life and this is his legacy. I think one powerful time was when I saw I was at my late uncle's funeral, and I saw this is the kind of funeral that I want, because he was a rich man. He served in church. He was He was doing his own small video production company, like small house, very small house. But in his there was three nights. Man, he was packed to the brim.
Wow.
People came there, they were crying, and this guy his eulogy was awesome, right? You know,
People
people
lined up
lined up to say, "Oh, Uncle Victor was a good man." And I thought, this guy's life was rich. I talk about legacy, right? I talk about
Mm.
rich not in a financial way, but
Mm.
enough that he left good money for his life. So much so that she doesn't even have to work
Yes.
today. So that was financial planning.
Mm.
On the flip side, I've been to one where it was really sad. There was maybe 10 people in the group one night. And the son came up and says, I never really knew my dad. My dad was a drunkard. Um, said things matter of factly. So he had no relationship. And that was not how I would like to go. That's how I saw it. So my goal or my benchmark will be my uncle's. That his life was amazing. Even to today, right? When his son got married, I think all the relatives, all us, start say, "Oh, we wish Uncle Victor was here." So that is a life well lived.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I wish I could have met Uncle Victor as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We don't normally think about the end enough, right? If I opened up a little bit morbid, right? If I open up a vision for you and dangle every one of us into a vision of what hell looks like, I think everyone would be scared up to go straight into heaven, right? So that's one part of eternity. The other part is thinking, hey, while we are alive, I also want to be remembered I want to remember myself for doing the fun things, I want to try new stuff, travel, enjoy new things, right? Tell stories, right? And then I want to be remembered by the things that mattered to people. Like, for example, I would love for my daughter to remember, say, mommy told me the funniest stories, she did the cutest things, or, she was there for me. And in that sense, I, I, I would love a funeral that was quite fun, right? That people came in and said, yeah, that was a life well lived.
A celebration of life, really, right?
Not something that, people are grieving because, it's such a waste, or there's so much left unsaid, stuff like that, right? It should be, hopefully, at least on my part, no regrets, right? And with the other people that are there, hopefully they will touch, and they are here because, they want to touch base, catch up, talk, and remember the funny things, especially when with my daughter or whoever else is, around, and catch up on those things. Yeah.
Right, definitely, and I think humorous touch, really does. It's really good as well. I was reminded a little bit as well. Yeah, go ahead.
Give them a will that frustrates them.
I wouldn't advise for that. Yeah. But my Marcus earlier was telling a story for me. His rich Uncle Victor, not maybe not in the physical wealth kind of sense, but you mentioned he did actually set aside enough for his widowed wife, and I think there have been stories actually of people who even if they were working like really entry level positions, there was this person who was basically just a sweeper, just sweeping the floors, cleaning, and he actually left behind an endowment of over $1 million actually for educational institute, at the end of his passing. So it really can make a difference, if you have your heart and your mind towards that as well. All right. So with that, we are moving into the wrap up of our session. Marcus, Mei Ling, feel free to plug your business and organization or cause, or share how people can connect with you guys. Whether they're looking to hire or be hired. Yeah, go for it.
So if you interested to talk more, we don't mind you. Honestly, just reach out to us, have a cup of coffee. If you want to learn what we have done, we don't mind sharing even. I think this world is a bit too small to keep everything to ourselves. What you can do is you can go to our website, www.thepositivelinks.com, or you can email me at marcus@thepositivelinks.com.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, we are looking at exploring working with people who are also not within Klang Valley as well. So, for example, with this current situation, people can work from home. I've often thought, okay, for whatever reason, let's say I can work, but I need to go back to my hometown in Malacca, Penang, Ipoh, right? Because I need to look after an elderly family member. But at the same time, I can do the work, right? And I just cannot find the right job wherever this hometown is. So those would be the people that we would love to talk to as well.
All right. Thanks, Marcus and Mei Ling, for sharing that. And yeah, encourage everyone to reach out to this wonderful couple, the co-founders of Positive Links Asia. Thank you so much, Marcus and Mei Ling, for spending this Saturday afternoon with us. Yeah.
No worries.
All right. Okay. Just hang out in the backstage, and yeah,
okay.
wrap it up and we'll chat with you in a little bit. All right. So I hope you all enjoyed the learning as much as I did from Marcus and Mei Ling, the co-founders of executive search firm Positive Links Asia. I really liked how they looked at how their focus on be it family, faith, finances, all just really comes together and is lived out in their lives as well. How they're also not staying idle, but continuing to look to actually grow and impact and form positive links. And it's really about the people and starting with the end in mind. Thank you all again for listening. Cofee Chat will be every fortnightly. So next week we'll actually be having a podcast, and then the following week we'll have a coffee chat again. So we hope that you grab a cup of coffee, join us. Every Saturday we'll either do it in the afternoon at 2 p.m. or our alternate time slot, depending on guests, will be 8:30 in the evening. All right. So please go ahead and like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have yet to, and see you in our next coffee chat. Stay healthy and stay wealthy.